And try a single flavor or mix it up and taste test multiple flavors like watermelon and cotton candy or strawberry lemonade and mango. It can be adult friendly with alcohol infused flavors. 2 area locations open until 8 p.m. every day. Follow Philly Freeze Me on social media at Philly Freeze Me or online at phillyfreezeme.com.
Cup Bop Korean Barbecue in a Cup is serving up unique Korean-style dishes and a special brand of fun. Treat yourself to a delicious bowl of rice, cabbage, noodles, your choice of protein like the Rock Bop, which is tangy fried chicken, and your choice of sauce from all sweet to nothing but the heat. Bop on over to eatcupbop.com to find the location nearest you and savor some crazy good Korean food served with a smile. With 5 area locations, 1100 South Fort Apache at Charleston, 7150 North Durango at Elkhorn, 4680 South Maryland Parkway, 1975 West Craig Road, and 7175 West Lake Mead Boulevard.
The views and opinions expressed in the following program are those of the program's participants and do not necessarily reflect those of station staff, management, and advertisers.
It's time for the most interactive radio program in Las Vegas today. It's time for Pushing the Limits with Brian Shapiro. Brian will talk sports, politics, entertainment, and anything that matters to you. Feel free to call Brian at 702-221-7283.
You want answers? I want the truth!
Now, Pushing the Limits, here's Brian Shapiro.
All right, what's up, everybody? Happy Thursday. It is Pushing the Limits. Thank you so much for joining us. We're all over the place, man. FM AM, of course, the FM AM dial. We're broadcasting live on YouTube, on TikTok. We're everywhere, really, and growing by the day. So we appreciate everybody tuning in. Big show lined up for you today. Coming up at the bottom of the hour, you know, I spoke to this guy on the phone. We might not agree on everything politically, but he's a man who served this country honorably, served in Afghanistan. And he's running for U.S. Senate as a Republican. Bill Conrad will be joining us at the bottom of the hour. Really looking forward to talking to him. Boy, there's a lot in the news to talk about these days, I'll tell you that. Coming up in hour number 2, Big Mo, Paul Mokeski, former NBA veteran and, of course, 20-year coach, going to be joining us in studio. A lot to get to with him as well and a lot to dissect. A lot of basketball in Las Vegas over the last couple weeks and some interesting trade rumors and, of course, his thoughts on this NBA franchise, that, or at least allegedly an NBA team coming to Las Vegas soon. So we'll be talking to him about that as well. So like I said, a lot to get to today, a lot to go over. I got to tell you, this has been bothering me over the course of the last few days, among many other things. Jason Aldean. So the country music star, and listen, I'm not a fan of country music. It sounds like a bunch of whiners and criers. It doesn't mean I don't appreciate some of these artists, because I do, but I'm not a country music fan. I don't like country music. I'd rather hear a dog bark, okay? I'm just not a country music fan, but that's here nor there, I guess, right? But Jason Aldean's got this new song out. It's called Try That in a Small Town. There's my Jason Aldean impersonation. And basically it's a music video with the images that depicts Black Lives Matter protesters and Antifa. And the message in the music video is, and if you listen to it, that's the message you get, which is Black Lives Matter protest better not come to my small town, you know? Better not come to my small town. Yeah, there you go. I'd rather listen to that than country music. But anyway, that's basically what the music video depicts. And Jason Aldean is a MAGA. He's a far right, and I think he's a coward. Why do I say Jason Aldean is a coward? Well, I'm going to go back to October 1. The shooting was not his fault, and that is not what I am saying. Here's what I am saying. He pranced off the stage and went into his trailer and left town. He didn't come back and do a charity event. He didn't come back and do what I believe he should have done. Did he do some charity stuff in general? Yes, he funded a program to help heal survivors after the October 1 shooting. It took him a little while to do it. He hosted 25 survivors free of charge. Okay, so we're talking under 6 figures. The guy makes 20 times that when he does one show. Congratulations. He never came back and did a charity event. He never came back and spoke to the real victims that were his fans here in Las Vegas when they were in the ICU fighting for their life. Let me tell you who is a hero. It's not Jason Aldean. It's Ariana Grande. Do you remember the One Love Manchester show? Remember when she was doing a show and there was a bombing and people died? She is a hero. And even though I don't listen to her music, she's a hero. Why? Because she went back there and she held a concert and raised millions and millions of dollars in that very spot for the survivors and the victims' families. Jason Aldean didn't do that because he's a coward. And now he has this song out making him like this big tough guy whining into a microphone. That's what this is about. That's who Jason Aldean is. He's a coward. And he's a bigot. And he's homophobic, and he's racist. And I can prove it with just the depictions alone in this music video. And I will play the song, and we will talk about it. But he is a racist bigot. He is a far-right, racist bigot. So I'm glad that CMT stopped showing this video. And it's got to be pretty bad if CMT decides they're not even going to show it. Because in this video, he depicts only violence from Black Lives Matter protests, black people committing crimes, and other forms of violence from Antifa. But from Jason Aldean, you'll never see images of January 6th or, God forbid, a MAGA supporter or white supremacist that goes into a Walmart and kills a bunch of brown people. You won't see any images of that. You won't see any images from January 6th because Jason Aldean is basically saying all the violence is coming from the left. And you better not come to my small town because I'm going to kick your ass. Yeah, you're really a tough guy, Jason Aldean. The way you pranced off the stage on October 1 and dodged Las Vegas and got out of town and didn't come back and do any charity events or anything. The only time you'll come back to town is so you can make millions of dollars doing a show. And how much of that is going to charity? Huh? How much of that? So I'm going to play some of this song for you. And I'm going to comment on it and explain why it endorses lynching and gun violence. And then I'm going to play you a couple of statements from Jason Aldean. I'm going to read them to you, I should say, from Jason Aldean and then some of his supporters, which are disgusting and they are a bunch of liars. And why does this get me so fired up? Why does this get me so angry? Because he has a huge platform, and he's one of the biggest country singers in the world, and he is a bigot. That's why. Now, if you want to show a video of Black Lives Matter violence, and you want to show some video of maybe January 6th and say, listen, violence is violence. Doesn't matter whether you're attacking a police officer at a Black Lives Matter rally. Doesn't matter if you're attacking a police officer at January 6th. It's wrong. Because that's what I do on the show. I don't care whether it's a Black Lives Matter protest or January 6th. It's all bad. Attacking a police officer is bad. Throwing a Molotov cocktail is bad. Doesn't matter whether it's a white supremacist that does it or somebody from a Black Lives Matter protest that happens to be black. It's all bad. But if you listen to Jason Aldean and you watch his music and his videos, he will lead you to believe that it's only happening from white Democrats and black people. That's my problem with this video and people like Jason Aldean, who again are racist bigots. And then I have the proof for you. Now, I suggest you also watch the video because that's very important because you see actual depictions of only crimes that are being committed at a Black Lives Matter protest or black people entering a liquor store trying to rob a liquor store. And I'll explain to you why that's dangerous also. But I'm going to play a little bit of the song for you and then we'll comment on it. Here it is.
Sucker punch somebody on a sidewalk, carjacking old lady at a red light, pull a gun on the owner of a liquor store. You think it's cool, act a fool if you like, cuss out a cop, spit in his face, stomp on the flag and light it up.
Okay, stop it right there, dumb Chuck. I apologize. So he's showing videos of somebody spitting in an officer's face at a Black Lives Matter protest. When he uses the term sucker punch somebody on the sidewalk, he is talking about what Fox News does. And if, God forbid, a black person commits a crime, Fox News will be the first person to show it. Let me tell you something, folks. Republicans also sucker punch people in the face on sidewalks. It's not just Democrats and it's not just black people. Same thing with carjackings. But what he is doing in this video, and I'm saying he because he represents this song, even though he didn't write the lyrics to the song, he represents this song because he's the artist. And you're damn right he had a lot to do with what they put in this video. He's showing images of only Black Lives Matter protest crimes. He's showing video of black people committing crimes. Stomping on a flag. What about the Confederate flag that was marched into the House chambers? You won't see those images. He won't talk about that. He'll talk about somebody and show somebody at a Black Lives Matter protest stomping on an American flag. By the way, I don't endorse any of this behavior. But if you watch this and you're a fan of Jason Aldean, he would lead you to believe the only crime being committed is by Democrats at Black Lives Matter protests.
Yeah, you think you're tough. Well, try that in a small town. See how far you make it down the road. Around here we take care of our
Sorry,
own.
Numpchuck's going to kill me here, but I'm sorry, I got to do it. See how far you make it down the road. So basically what he's saying is if you try any of this stuff in my hometown, you're going to be stopped. And it's basically condoning violence. Now he talks about how he owns a gun. Go ahead. We'll play.
Take care of our own. You cross that line, it won't take long for you to find out. I recommend you don't. Try that in a small town. Got a gun that my granddad gave me.
Oh, tough guy. Tough guy. God, you can stop it. Oh, he's got a gun that his granddad gave him. Wow, you're really tough, Jason. We take care of our own. You know what that means? You know what Jason Aldean is saying when he says, quote, now he would never admit this, but when he says, we take care of our own, middle of the road, middle of the country, white people. That's who he's talking about. We take care of our own. That's exactly what he's talking about. We take care of our own. Ignorant, white Republicans. That's who he is talking about. We take care of our own. I'm telling you, that's exactly what he's saying. And now he's saying his granddad gave him a gun. So I guess that means Jason Aldean is really tough. Well, I guess he didn't have that gun on October 1, did he? When he pranced off the stage and then left town hours later. Didn't come back, didn't talk to the victims, didn't do any charity concerts here. I guess that granddaddy gun didn't really work when you were on stage, did it, buddy?
That my granddad gave me. They say one day they're gonna round up. Well, that shit might fly in the city. Good luck. Try that in a small town. See how far you make it down the road.
All right, I can't take it anymore. Justin, we're done. I can't take it anymore. I can't take this whiny bitch. I can't take it anymore.
But we got to take care of our own.
I can't take this guy anymore. I'm so sick of it. I can't take it. I can't. How can anybody listen to this? I can't take it. It sounds like a dog crying. My granddad gave me a gun. Oh my God. Just shut up, you whiny turd. That's what he is. He's a whiny turd. Just shut up. Yeah, you're a real tough guy. Prancing with that cowboy hat and your boots like Ron DeSantis. You're really tough. Never came back and did a charity concert here. What the hell has he done for Las Vegas? What the hell has he done? Anybody with a brain knows what this song is about. Anybody with a brain knows what he is doing. Try that in a small town. We know exactly what he's talking about with his Klan rallies in his small town.
A friend is in need.
Get rid of it. I don't even want to hear this anymore. Just get rid of it. I'm just so sick of this guy. Freedom of speech, right? Again, you'll never see any images or Jason Aldean singing about white supremacy. You'll never see any images of anything like that. You'll never see any images from Jason Aldean of what took place on January 6th. They were doing a little bit more than spitting at police officers on January 6th. You won't see any of those images from Jason Aldean because he's a right-wing buffoon. That's why.
Do you want a nice palate cleanser?
What do you mean? That's my boy Richard Patrick. Yes. Now, this is some real music, actually. I don't even want to involve Richard in this, but yeah, thank you.
I figured you wanted to hear something better.
Yeah, that's better music, yeah. Jason Aldean, you whining little wussy. You whiner wussy. So I want to read a little bit for you. First of all, let me start with Travis Tritt. Should we be shocked that Travis Tritt is another right-wing buffoon?
Not at all.
Who talks about Black Lives Matters and you know how January 6th was a tourist visit and another MAGA supporter. Should we be surprised that that Travis Tritt is supporting Jason Aldean, the weasel that Jason Aldean is? Here's what Travis Tritt said. By the way, you couldn't pay me enough money to go to one of his shows, or Kid Rock, or the guy from Stained, Aaron Lewis, these idiots, these far-right idiots. They're all racist pigs. Here's what Travis Tritt said. By the way, I couldn't name one song he sings, but Travis Tritt said, "For the record, I love the new Jason Aldean single." Wow, that's a shocker. "Try that in a small town. This song isn't promoting violence, as some have suggested." Okay. Let me just give you one quick example how it is promoting violence. There's a video. In the video, they show two black people going into a convenience store, and there is a white person standing there that starts punching and attacking the two black people that I assume are trying to rob the store. Any police officer would tell you to never do that. Why? Because it's dangerous. Don't be a vigilante. That condones violence. Even though you can say that the two people walking into the convenience store deserved it, and I wouldn't disagree with you, this is promoting being a vigilante. Just because you see somebody committing a crime doesn't mean you should step in and assault people. You do what they tell you to do, especially if they have weapons, and you do the right thing and hope that they get the hell out of there and nobody gets hurt. A police officer would tell you that. Don't be a vigilante. But in this Jason Aldean video, this turd in this video shows a depiction of a white person attacking two black robbers in a convenience store. That is condoning violence. That is dangerous. But Travis Tritt goes on and he says, "It's simply expressing a point of view that many American people share, which is against the obvious violence that we have seen from the likes of so many activist groups in this country in recent years, and the belief shared by millions that this behavior would not be tolerated by many people in many places across the USA. God bless America and all the people in it." So in other words, if you'd like me to define what Travis Tritt is saying, he's basically saying we won't tolerate all these black people committing crimes in our small town because we have too many Klan members in our small town, so we won't condone it. See, simply put, nobody's condoning violence, whether it's Antifa or whether it's the Proud Boys, but you won't hear that from Travis Tritt because you'll just attack one side because, again, he's probably a white supremacist sympathizer, just like Jason Aldean and just like Tucker Carlson, the fifth. Travis Tritt is an idiot, and he's another MAGA moron and a piece of trash. That's what Travis Tritt is. He's a piece of trash, just like Jason Aldean. Try this in our small town. With all your crosses and your Klan outfits and your Confederate flags and your Make America Great Again flags, screw all of you. And your Let's Go Brandon shirts, you despicable turds. I hate all of you. I really do. I hate you. Jason Aldean said, "The last 24 hours I've been accused of releasing a pro-lynching song that promotes violence." Well, yeah, that's exactly what it is. These references are not only meritless, but dangerous. No, what you put in your video is dangerous, and they're not meritless. Just look at the images you put in your video. And then he goes on to say, "I was present at the Route 91 festival, and our community, recently suffered another heartbreaking. No one, including me, wants to continue to see senseless acts of violence and families ripped apart." Oh, okay. Okay. By the way, the shooting on Route 91 had nothing to do with Black Lives Matter or a Democrat. I just wanted to be very clear on that. But if you listen to Jason Aldean, he'll lead you to believe only Democrats and Antifa are responsible for all the violence in this country. Try that in a small town, for me, refers to the feeling of community, where we grew up, where we took care of our neighbors. Yeah, sure, that's what it means. Sure, it doesn't mean we take care of our own, meaning middle-class white people. I've never hidden from my political views, he says. And he says he wants to get back to a sense of normalcy and getting away from a headline that keeps us up at night. Yeah, okay. Real nice, Jason. Real nice to try to clear that up. Now, as I mentioned earlier, he funded a program, Jason Aldean, because if people are going to say, well, he has done charity work. He helped fund a program to help heal survivors experiencing trauma after Route 91 Harvest Music Festival. It was a 6-day Triumph Over Tragedy workshop led by the On-Site Foundation. And by the way, it didn't take place anywhere near Las Vegas. It took place in Tennessee and hosted 25 survivors free of charge. Wow, thanks a lot, Jason. You really are a hero. You hosted 25 people that are struggling. What the hell have you done for Las Vegas? What have you done, you coward? Yeah, that's what I'm going to call you. You're a coward. You make it like you're this big tough guy in this video. Oh, my granddaddy gave me a gun. Wow, you're really tough. After you pranced off the stage on October 1, didn't give anybody any directions on what to do. All you cared about was yourself. You pranced off the stage, and then you got the hell out of Las Vegas. While your fans were struggling for their life in hospitals, you were flying back to your mansion doing nothing. Nothing. Because that's who Jason Aldean is. That's who he is. Make no mistake about it. Try that in our small town. We know what this song is about. And they can lie, and Jason Aldean can lie and say, well, it's just about community. So if you have a problem with violence throughout this country, then why are you only showing Black Lives Matter violence? Because you're a racist. It's just like when somebody brings up January 6th. If you talk to a Republican, their immediate reaction, well, what about Black Lives Matter? I'm sorry, but Jason Aldean is a racist. He's a bigot. He's a homophobe. And he's a selfish bastard. And all he cares about is himself. And this video depicts exactly who Jason Aldean is and those who support him. Racist bigots who support violence, who think that black people and Black Lives Matter protests are where all the violent people are, and Republicans and MAGA country and Donald Trump can't be violent. It's a joke. And this guy should be called out on it. And shame on you if you support this song. Shame on you. I would love to hear somebody on the left write a song about January 6th and talk about all those trashy people that stormed the Capitol. Yeah, let's do a song called Try That in a Small Town. Then let's depict all the white supremacists out there on January 6th that committed violent acts. We'll see how Jason Aldean reacts to that and all the people on the right react to that. It's a joke. 702-221-7283. And again, that number to call if you want to be a part of the conversation. 702-221-7283. Let's go to Rick. Rick, what's going on?
Hey, Brian, this is Rick, third-time caller. Thank you for having me on.
Sure.
Great topic. I heard a lot of the things that were going on with this Jason Aldean video, and I looked it up myself to take a look at it. And I really have to disagree with you on a lot of these things. In the video, he took a lot of what looks to be real life occurrences that happen from like security cameras and put them in,
right?
Saying this is what happens, and this is what we're going to do about it. If you try it somewhere where everyone knows each other, like in a small town, we're going to take care of you. You're not going to get out of here alive.
Right.
I love this song.
Right, but I'm not surprised that you do, Rick. But in the video, he's depicting and showing clips of only Black Lives Matter protests and violence at Black Lives Matter protests, not showing any violence that took place by a white supremacist, not showing any violence that's taken place from, say, a MAGA supporter. He's depicting and showing that it's only Antifa and Black Lives Matter protests where violence occurs in this country, and I have a serious problem with that. And he's also showing video of white people in gas stations attacking black people that are trying to rob places. Why not show a white person going into a place to rob somebody and a black person taking care of them. He won't do that because he's trying to depict black people as the criminals and Black Lives Matter protests where all the crime happens. And then he's, and he's again condoning violence. Try that in a show in a small town. See where that'll happen. He's bragging about his granddaddy giving him a gun. He's not a tough guy. He's a whiner. That's what he is.
Well, again, I disagree with you. The video, his video that he put out is very clear that that's where the trouble's coming from.
When you say that's where what do you mean the trouble's coming from black people? Is that what you're saying?
Well, the majority of it is.
The majority of it is coming from black people. I see.
If you try to come into a little small town like ours, we're not going to let you have this. We're going to handle the trouble here. Yeah. You're not going to get out.
Let me ask you another question. When he says we take care of our own, what type of demographic do you think he's talking about when he says that in the song?
Americans.
So you don't think he's talking about white people? You see, when he says we take care of our own, you really think he's talking about black people and Democrats when he says that? Or is he talking about extreme right cultists that happen to be white that like country music?
Well, again, I think he's talking about Americans. You brought up 9/11, and what was that? That was a war against America, right? So
yeah, but that's very different. That's very different. But he didn't show any images from 9/11. He didn't do that. If he showed images from 9/11 and he made it about America, then guess what? I think that would be a great message, and I would have no problem with that. He only showed images that they show on Fox News. He only showed images from Black Lives Matter protests. You get my point, Rick. I think you know what I'm saying.
I think you're trying to block me in and saying that I'm a racist.
Well, if you say
what I'm trying to say, I think that we are taking care of our own because you're a white guy and I'm a white guy. Again, why wouldn't we want the white people to be the best?
Okay, well, there you go. Right there, Rick, is exactly the type of statement that I'm talking about, and that statement that you just said is a white supremacist statement that I am positive Jason Aldean would support. Rick, I appreciate you being honest, my friend, and always good to hear from you. I don't mind a good debate, and I appreciate you calling in, Rick, and good luck at your Klan rally tonight, okay? I really wish you the best.
You say that every time to me, so thank you.
Well, you're welcome. I'm glad you finally admitted you're going to a Klan rally tonight. Thank you, Rick, for the phone call. I appreciate that. Grand Wizard Rick, that's what I'm going to call him thank you, Rick. Every single time he calls in, I'm going to call him Grand Wizard Rick. Holy schmagoli. At least he's respectful, though.
I wish we would have asked him if he would have gained, if he's gained a black friend yet.
I don't know. That's the guy who called in who said he doesn't have any black. I'm shocked he doesn't have any black friends when he says, the white race should be the best race. Yeah, that's exactly what white supremacy is. Sounds like some people in the past I've worked with in the radio business. Anyway, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to take a breather. I won't be buying any Jason Aldean music anytime soon. I'll tell you that. That stupid SOB. We're going to take a break. I always love talking to people that actually serve this country, people that are heroes. And the guy coming up next is no exception to that. His name is Bill Conrad. He's running for U.S. Senate. He served in Afghanistan. I have the utmost respect for that. And I want to talk about his platform and why he's running and what he stands for. So, and maybe I'll even ask him about Jason Aldean. I don't know. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back right after this. Before we go, I want to tell you guys about my good friends at Jackson's Bar and Grill, my favorite gaming bar in town. Every Monday and Wednesday, if you get 4 to the Royal, you have a chance to spin the wheel to win up to $3,000. Great promotions over there. Please tell them I sent you. Great food, great atmosphere, great bartenders. They are just so awesome. Jackson's Bar and Grill, located at Flamingo and Jones. Take a quick break. Be back right after this with Bill Conrad, who's running for U.S. Senate. You're listening to Pushing the Limits right here on KSHP.
Hey everybody, are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pie? Well, worry no more. Stallone's Italian Eatery Pizza is a knockout. We're located at 467 East Silverado Ranch Boulevard, just off of Premier Road, half a mile east of South Point Casino, just minutes from the Las Vegas Strip. Come by and grab a slice of pie. Plus, check out our Brooklyn-inspired Italian cuisine. Our sandwiches are super. Hero, that is. Because why be a sub when you can be a hero? Stallone's Italian Eatery is here to serve you phenomenal food, Vegas. Forget about it.
Buying or selling a home is a huge life event that requires guidance from an expert in the industry and community. My name is Blake Wynn. You may recognize my name as my grandfather was the best governor the state of Nevada has ever had. Growing up in Las Vegas, I've come to know this community intricately. Now, I am raising a family here as well, so I understand all the issues impacting our home and quality of life. As the top realtor for the #1 real estate team at Keller Williams, you can have confidence in my experience, knowledge, and track record. When it comes to buying, selling, or investing in real estate, choose a name you can trust and someone who understands the community you call home. Call Blake Wynn today and experience the difference of a trusted expert. 702-540-3311.
Sapphire Pool and Day Club, the world's only topless gentlemen's day club, introduces its 2023 pool season lineup with a bevy of beauties and social media celebrities throughout the summer who will all host alongside hundreds of Sapphire's topless poolside entertainers. Enjoy brunch in the sun with items like frittata-style omelets, stripping chicken, and French kiss toast before washing it down with signature summertime cocktails. 10 lines beware. Go Bear! Ladies are welcome to go topless within the day club for the ultimate party. Guests can purchase affordable day bed packages, cabana packages, lounge chairs, and more. The best part though? Pushing the Limits will be broadcasting shows every other Friday throughout the pool season with a ton of surprise celebrity guests. Wow! Reserve your spot now. For more info, visit sapphirepoolLV.com or call 702-869-0003. That's 702-869-0003. See you at Sapphire.
Hey everybody, it's Brian Shapiro from Pushing the Limits. I want to tell you guys about Sahara West Urgent Care and Wellness. They're conveniently located on the southwest corner of Sahara and Jones. They're open Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Saturday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. At Sahara West Urgent Care, they'll take care of all your healthcare needs. They offer routine services such as physicals, STD testing, car accident treatment, and work injuries. You name it, they do it. They have on-site x-ray, EKG, ultrasound, and labs. They treat chronic conditions such as asthma, blood pressure, diabetes, and more. They also offer general wellness exams, treatments such as testosterone enhancement and cancer screening. They're located on Sahara, 6125 West Sahara Avenue. Their number is 702-248-0554. And the best part, they accept most major insurances and affordable cash pay prices. Office visits starting at just $95. And I'm also a client, so please give them a call, 702-248-0554. All right, welcome back. It is Pushing the Limits on a Thursday. Thank you so much for joining us. Programming note, we got Paul Mokeski, former NBA veteran, coming in studio next hour. Tomorrow we're going to be at Sapphire. I'll talk about that a little bit later. We got some very special celebrity guests that are going to be joining us. You know what's interesting? I've talked about it on this show. I've worked with the Veterans in Politics organization, not because I agree with their politics or even every person within the organization, but whenever I get an opportunity to help out and give my time to those who serve this country honorably, I have the utmost respect for anybody that risks their life for this country. I think it's the most honorable thing you can do in life. And I had the opportunity to speak with this gentleman the other day. We had a nice conversation, and his name is Bill Conrad. He's running for U.S. Senate. He served in Afghanistan, and he's a hero. Let's just call it for what it is. And I always enjoy speaking with anybody who is a hero, who is willing to risk everything because they love their country. And Bill Conrad joins us right now. Bill, thank you so much for being here, sir. How are you?
Well, Brian, thank you for the introduction. I'm not a hero. I just went to Afghanistan for 38 months and served my country.
Well, I appreciate your modesty, but I'll have to disagree with you. I think if you're willing to risk your life for this country so that I have the freedom to go on the radio every day, I think you are a hero. I appreciate your modesty, and I appreciate your service to this great nation. I guess my first question to you, Mr. Conrad, is why did you decide to put your name in the hat, so to speak, and run for U.S. Senate?
Well, I spent a little bit of my bio. I spent 31 years in the military, active and reserve, 9 years active Air National Guard. I went to flight school at 27. I've been a Green Beret team leader, Ranger. And I went to flight school at 27, started a design build construction company. I ran for city council in one. This is in Modesto, California. I flew out of Moffett Field, worked my tail off, but I really had a really interesting life. And then a war broke out. I was activated, sort of did a number of my construction company. My wife ran it till 2007 or 8. I got activated numerous times, really great job. So I enjoyed what I did, went back in the Army from the Air Force and finished out my active duty and had some great assignments, saw a lot of friends. That brings me to, I was out of politics. I never planned to go to politics again. I wanted to spend time. I spent almost 5 years away from my family and kids. I'd see them from time to time because I kept them in California. I was stationed at a couple duty stations. We were stationed out of Fort Leavenworth, Kansas, my main program, but also other places. Civil affairs was my primary element. I worked for 7th Group's engineering officer one tour. And then I was human terrain team systems, which were really interesting. So I did a lot of things. That brings me up to getting into Reno, Nevada. I love it here. I always wanted to go here. My family came into the United States in 1885, the first known family member that I know of, into Bishop, California. And we've loved the east side of the Sierras. I was growing up, I read a book called Men to Match My Mountains, written in 1957. I read it in Afghanistan at night. It's a big book. And it just talks so much about the Sierras and the places where I grew up. And Reno was the perfect place. So I brought my family here. My daughters were, I think, 10 and 12 when I brought them here. I was really happy with Reno and the high school, the elementary schools, middle school, I don't know, but high school, Reno High School is great.
Have you ever ran into Joey Gilbert?
Oh, yeah. I see Joey from time to time. I run a small media, no, I shouldn't say small. I say don't call it small. Yeah. I run a live streaming company. And it's called Red Move. We put events together and we did the Republican debate, which we sold out, had 500 people. Joey won that debate because we actually had people vote, 3 people vote, and he won that debate. So I got to watch him.
We've definitely had some debates on this show, by the way, Bill, with Joey Gilbert. We've gone at it a few times, but I want to get into some national topics with you, if I may.
Let me tell you why I ran real fast, though.
Sure,
so we were doing the debates. And we're going to do the Senate debate last cycle. And I didn't expect Adam really to debate. I know Adam. So we have a rule that we don't allow. We do dinners and stuff for people. But we don't do that if they don't debate. We sign an agreement. Well, Sam Brown didn't debate. He refused to debate. He said that the other candidates weren't at his level, at his league, because they hadn't raised enough money. And my background, I've been in politics and I've interviewed tons of candidates and seen a lot of mistakes.
Yeah.
And I got so frustrated at him. I threw I $500 to sign up. I was never going to do it again. $100 I spent in the campaign. I came in 4th. Somebody came in 5th who spent $60,000 behind me. I debated and I just got frustrated. So I looked at it again. I thought hard and heavy. I had to get permission from my wife. And I put my name in this time to see what we could do with a campaign that's run really effectively. I won elections in the past as an underdog. Mm-hmm. And I don't like consultants. I don't like the big money in politics. And I love to beat people when I can do it with a fraction of the money. You need some money, but you don't need all the money.
I'm on your side, by the way. I don't care how much money you raised. I want everyone that's in the race to debate. And I disagree with Sam Brown if he decided not to debate people because they haven't raised enough money. I am 100% on your side on that, and I don't think that's right.
Yeah.
Let me ask you a question because I was talking to I believe it was your campaign manager is the first person I talked to. We had a little chat, and for the record, you and I had I thought a really good conversation the other day. He mentioned something about your platform, and he said that you were going to go after the deep state. And I don't know what that means. Explain to me what the deep state is, because Republicans use this word, and I'm like, well, wait, what is the deep state? Because am I stupid? I don't even know what it is. Explain.
It's got a lot of names. It's got a lot of names. If you go to my website, conradteam.com, you'll see my priorities. Yeah. Beat the establishment, and that's the first start. You know, that's even the Republican establishment. The deep state's both Republican and Democrat.
Okay, it's really I'm glad to hear you say that. I'm glad to hear you start off by saying that, because that was my first concern. But I was like, is the deep state, is it just Democrats? You say it's Republican. Okay, now I'm listening. Go ahead.
So, and then when the general election, these are priorities. You got to lay them out. And I say dismantle the deep state. Mm-hmm. It's really the size of the federal government. Let's not call it the deep state. Let's just call it the huge, oversized federal government in Washington, D.C. It's a far off capital from us here out in the West, and it controls too much of our lives. We got to downsize it. Here's an example. This is controversial. I worked with a lot of people in my last assignments when I did civil affairs, civil military operations between the State Department, the military, FBI, CIA. I've got friends in all those areas. They're all advising me, the people I trust. I've got a CIA guy. I've got 2 colonels and a 2-star general, and they're friends. and they think more like I. For example, right now, the deep state, quote unquote, deep state, the system wants us to go and fight more in Ukraine. That's a European war. It should be funded by the Europeans, not us.
So you don't think we should be funding and helping out the Ukrainians at all?
I think it should be 90% from the Europeans should be funding that war. Russia, there's no doubt he's a dictator. He's terrible.
Yeah.
We got to work together. But there's a fire on the rise, and there's smoke on the rise, and it's called China. And I'm scared to death about China. Now here's another reason I run. I've got 3 kids on active duty, and I've got 1 son-in-law who's active duty. One's a medevac pilot. My middle daughter just graduated from West Point last year. My second daughter is still at West Point. She's a senior, and my son's in the Air Coast Guard as a C-130 pilot stationed in D.C. I have skin in the game. I don't want them to go to war. I don't want them to do what I had to do. In fact, my son was accepted to West Point, and I was in Afghanistan at the time. And I called up this Coast Guard person I worked for in District 11, and he got with my son, and I did not want him to go to West Point. I mean, I know he knows this, but I hate war.
Well, I'm with you.
I've seen some ferocious things happen.
I know you have, and I'm with you 100%. By the way, for the record, I don't think we should have troops on the ground in the Ukraine ever. I think it's a fair debate to have, to say that we've spent too much money and given too much money to Ukraine. I think that's a very fair conversation to have. My problem, Bill, are with alt-right. I'm not saying you're that person, but people on the alt-right that are, in a sense, rooting for Vladimir Putin and calling Zelensky a Nazi, the Marjorie Taylor Greens of the world. I think it's a very fair conversation to say, boy, we've given them way too much money. We've given them, that's fair. But I don't like the alt-right and people, again, like Tucker Carlson with the pro-Russian Vladimir Putin propaganda. You started right from the beginning and you said something I agree with, which is the obvious, right? Vladimir Putin is an evil, murderous dictator. Okay, when somebody starts the conversation by saying that, there's something called credibility, right? And I hear you on that. Let me ask you about China real quick. A lot of people on the right, Republicans, have issues, and they think Joe Biden's too easy on China, and China is a huge threat. I want to ask you this. What do you think is the worst thing China's ever done to us?
I think the threat alone is the worst thing that China has done to us. They've never attacked us. They're building roads. I see their infrastructure. I saw it. I work in special operations, a lot of special forces guys. I've never been in Africa on a deployment. I should have been, but I never have been. That's a story in itself too, because the guy who replaced me was killed. But
sorry to hear that.
China is a threat. When I was in Afghanistan, China bought the rights to a copper mine, and they basically paid out the Secretary of the Interior for I forgot the exact name, for the Afghan government, and he got $3 million, and they had a big copper mine. They were mining everywhere. Xi Jinping has said that he wants to take Taiwan. And I think Taiwan will be taken inside. It could be as soon as 6 months, but within 2 to 3 years, it will be taken. There will be a blockade. You will see a tremendous change to our lifestyle when that happens. Everything from China will stop. I hope we don't get in a fighting war. There'll be blockade, and we'll use Taiwan will be gone. That's the biggest threat. What they've done to us, other than give us a lot of stuff for cheap through Amazon and everything else.
Yeah.
Their practices as a nation, I don't think are proper.
Well, I agree. I agree with everything you've said. I guess my answer would be, I think the worst thing China's done to us is COVID. And
that's a good point.
I'm not saying you're the person that's saying this, but there's a lot of people out there that are saying Trump was tough on China and Joe Biden is soft on China. And my response is, well, wait a second. The worst thing China's ever done to us was under Donald Trump. And I'm not blaming
Republicans. I agree with you. I agree. I mean, that was a good point about COVID. I was thinking of the initial threat right in front of us.
Sure.
It just come out. I mean, it's pretty well documented now that the COVID started in China in the labs.
Right.
But there's a lot of question of, like, we were funding that gain of research in China, which I think is a really bad idea. And we're also funding like several labs in Ukraine, which I think is a really bad idea. You cannot, apparently under Obama, we could not do gain of function research here in the United States. So we outsourced it to China and Ukraine. I can't think of a worse policy to have.
Yeah.
I can't. Well, and I agree. I did not like what Trump did with COVID. I thought he really screwed it up.
Yeah.
From the fear early on to, trying to rush a shot, to not looking at alternatives. I mean, big pharma won that battle.
Well, I don't disagree with you there. I don't enjoy hearing all the attacks on Dr. Fauci. Certainly, he likes the camera. There's no question about that.
Yeah.
He's not perfect. He's made mistakes, but I'll certainly still listen to Dr. Fauci when it comes to COVID over, again, somebody on Fox News that doesn't have any medical experience. But I agree with what you just said. Let me ask you this.
Can I say one thing real fast?
Sure,
It's really
sure,
important
sure,
to balance
sure.
out Fauci. Look
Yeah.
at the Great Behringer Declaration. There's about 20,000 doctors that signed that. And basically what they said is don't lock down, isolate people. And Fauci made some huge mistakes. It pretty well came out that the blue mask did nothing. In fact, they spread the disease. They trusted too much the vaccine. It started spreading, 4 months later, it failed. But if they would have done like Bacatera, I think I say his name out of Stanford, would have said, isolate the seniors and those at risk. And those are who are heavy, seniors, comorbidities. Those are a lot of the people who died. Isolate those people, let the rest of the people go ahead and live, let it go through the system. And this is an alternative to what Fauci said in the lockdowns. And Trump started the lockdown. So again, I don't think Trump handled it well. But I don't think Fauci handled it well either. That's between you and me.
I think there were a lot of mistakes across the board. I don't know if I agree with you when you say the vaccine failed. I think that's what you said.
It helped a little bit, but I think myocarditis, if you're under 40 or 50 years old, there's probably, and you're healthy, and you're an athlete. I'm an athlete. I just got done working out.
Mm-hmm.
I took the 2 shots. In retrospect, I would have not taken the shots. 2 of my kids took the full elements of shots when they were like 19 and 20. And another one did not take the shots and survived, still in the military. So I got a deep dive. That's the only reason I really got into it deep, because one of my kids didn't take the shots and he's in the military.
I think certainly a lot of mistakes were made. The entire world wasn't prepared. I do think the vaccines saved so many people's lives.
Maybe.
I see things online that, millions of people have died from the vaccines, and there's a lot of medical misinformation out there, which I don't like to see. And when I hear that 85% of doctors and nurses across the country have taken the vaccine, I say to myself, you know what? They're probably pretty safe. I mean, half the world has taken the vaccine.
Well, here's notional. My doctors who took the shots, and a doctor around the corner. I live in a neighborhood with quite a few doctors.
Yep.
I helped doctor's kid get in the academy. I do that here. I help all the kids. Love doing that. It's nice to be semi-retired.
Mm-hmm.
All 3 of those doctors took the shots and said they wish they hadn't taken the shots in retrospect, and they're healthy.
Well, I mean,
and the other thing, my doctor next door, his sister died. She was forced to take the shots because she was a professor. She got cancer. They went in remission. He told her not to take the booster, took the booster, and 3 or 4 months later, she's dead. That's just notional. That's not scientific. That's just what I read. And I do look at some of the scientific reports, and I got into this because of my one family member who was in the military who didn't take the shots. I wanted to find out all the facts. For example, this is an EUA, emergency use authorization. And under the law, you cannot order the military to take that shot. And the way they did that is the FDA approved something called Comirnaty. Comirnaty never made it to the United States. It's made in Belgium. The big pharma didn't allow that to come into the United States, which was approved, because then they would have lost all of their legal protections from getting sued.
I understand. I mean, I hear what you're saying.
I know my stuff. I study.
I understand that people made money. And there's no question that the pharmaceuticals made a lot of money. All I'm simply saying is, and I think you'll agree with me, COVID, very serious virus. Unfortunately,
I agree.
A lot of people died. And if people didn't make it so political, and if we just came together as a country, then I think more lives would have been saved. People didn't take it seriously. And, people today, if they decide to wear a mask, I really don't care. That's their personal business.
It doesn't do much. And if anything, it's a false safety thing to think you're being protected.
Well, here's what I would say to that. People should mind their business. People shouldn't be yelling at people for wearing a mask. There were anti-maskers here in Las Vegas that I think were morons. There are some masks that work better than others. You're absolutely right on that. Sure, correct. Absolutely. Again, mistakes were made, but it became political and it became politicized. And that's what I didn't understand. So this is a question that I want to ask you.
Wait a second. People were forced to wear masks. They were forced to lock down. And the secondary effects of those lockdowns that are affecting our kids today.
Well, here's what I would say to that.
Here's
what I would say to that. We lost over 1 million people. If there were in this country, if there were no lockdowns, don't you think we probably would have lost more people?
Well, if you look at the Behringer Institute, Behringer studies, and the doctors, they said they don't think so. They think it would have natural immunity. First of all, they didn't even recognize natural immunity, which we know now is just as good as anything.
I didn't read
I
that
just can't
study.
figure out how many mistakes were made early on in the COVID
Well, let me ask you
situation.
another question then. During the heart of the pandemic, when we were losing 4,000 to 5,000 people in this country a day, would you have been okay with 60,000 people packed into Allegiant Stadium, not vaccinated, not wearing masks? I mean, would you have had any
What
mitigating
was
factors?
that date? Because we did something crazy up here at that
Yeah.
date. What was that date? Do you know?
I don't. I
When
do know that there, in the heart of the pandemic, we were losing 4,000 to 5,000 people a
Yep.
day. So my question to you,
And
Bill,
out of New York, a lot of them were out of New York early on. New York took a big hit.
well, I don't
And
know. I don't know where they were. I'm just saying
the
that.
states that didn't have the heavy lockdowns were about the same as the states that had the lockdowns.
So here's my question, because you're running for Senate, I take your candidacy very seriously.
No, thanks.
If we were, of course, if we were in a pandemic right now and we were losing 4,000 to 5,000 people a day, similar to something like COVID, would you want any mitigating factors at all, or would you just want to be on the honor system and let people do whatever they do?
Well, it was up to the states somewhat. I just would think you'd have to look at the situation, how severe it was.
Okay,
The
so in the
well,
middle
first
of
of all,
the
we know
pandemic,
that's the doctors were saying that if we don't lock down, it's not going to make a difference. Here's the thing: is there's a false. They said, and the president said,
what doctors
that if you take the shots, you're not going to get sick. Well, I took the shots, and 4 months later, I had a hard case of Delta.
what doctor said that?
Fauci said that. The president said that.
Don't lock down. No, but if we don't lock down, it's not going to make a difference. What reasonable infectious disease experts?
Look at the
said
Behringer Institute. They all said that. They said there's more damage done by the lockdowns. I can't say his name.
Okay.
I'll send you the information.
All
You
right.
got-
No, I got you. I'm just trying. I just want to get your position.
No, you know what? Brian, I've looked at a little bit of your background. I'm really impressed with how broad you are and all the people you know down there. And you like sports. I like the combination.
I do. But these are important questions, obviously, because if you're going to be a senator, I want to know that if someone's going to be in office, they're going to protect me. And I'm not saying you're not going to protect me. I just think that in the heart of the pandemic, if you're telling me that you wouldn't have had any mitigating factors at all, I find that to be irresponsible.
Can I tell you something? I didn't say that. I said I would have listened to other. I did not agree with Fauci and what he did with the lockdowns
I understand.
at all. Zero.
But
Here's what I
Fauci-
think. Where are you?
Fauci didn't have- wait, hold on. Fauci didn't have anything to do with the lockdowns. That was state by state. You know that, right?
Yes and no.
Fauci didn't lock anything down.
The federal government directed a lockdown.
But it was
and then
state by
I agree.
state.
I like that it was up to the states. And I think just almost every state locked down. A couple didn't totally lock down, and they were different
Right.
levels.
Right.
People moved around. I do like that. So that gives me my next position. I think it's really important that we downsize the federal government, that they have less control. By the way, they were forcing people to take that shot by saying that if you have
Which
more
I
than
don't agree with. Yes.
50 employees, you have to take the shot. Well, I think under 50, there's no reason to take that shot, period.
Well, there are
Good health.
there are a lot of people with comorbidities that are under 50. You know that.
No. If you're under 50 and healthy, there's
Right.
no
But
reason.
two-thirds.
Well, you shouldn't be forced to do it. You should have a choice
I
to
agree.
take it.
I agree with you. Even though I almost died of COVID myself. Never
Really?
had-
Tell me about it, because I got pretty
Yeah.
sick off of Delta after the shots.
Yeah, I mean, this was 3-4 years ago. I felt like I was getting the flu. I waited way too long
Yeah.
to go to the hospital until my oxygen level, a friend of mine, my attorney, actually, Sandy, she saved my life. She came over. My oxygen levels were in the low 80 percentile, which are really dangerous.
Oh, that's really low. That's really bad.
So I was in the ICU for 2 weeks, and the great doctors and nurses, they saved my life. And it was a horrible experience, but it was an eye-opening experience. So I try to tell people, listen to your personal physician. Listen to what they tell you about the vaccines. Listen to them, and then make your determination based on that. I agree with you. I never thought that anybody should have been forced to get the vaccine. But if you're working for an employer and they said, if you want to work here, you have to get the
So
vaccine.
did you get it? Did you get it before the vaccine came out, the COVID?
I did.
Early
And-
on?
And then I got COVID after I got the first vaccination, Pfizer, and it was like a minor cold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I had the
So-
shots, and I got it pretty bad in Delta. Hey, let me say something. You're in Las Vegas, and I
Sure.
did a lot of research on this. There were 747s coming out of China into Las Vegas directly, direct flight. They had them back and forth because there's a lot of
Yeah.
gambling. The Chinese like to come here.
Sure.
There's a lot of theory that Las Vegas had some of the early COVID, and it was really spread around.
100%. And I'm going to tell you, I know a basketball coach, a college basketball coach that used to coach 2 hours from here. And he told me back in January, months before we knew COVID was here, he believed his entire team had COVID.
Yeah.
So I agree with you. Listen, we agree that there were a lot of mistakes that were
And
made.
that first evolution that you got was bad. The first one, I got
Yes,
Delta
it
the
was
second one.
horrible. It attacked my lungs, both my lungs shot down, and it was terrible. I
Shoot,
just
and
don't
you're
like.
in good shape too.
Yeah, I mean, I played 2 college sports. I don't know if I would say I'm as athletic as I once was.
So you're in the hospital 2 weeks. Did they do a ventilator? Did they?
They almost put me on the ventilator.
Yeah,
I
it's
wouldn't
scary.
have allowed them. I wouldn't have allowed them to do that because that would have been the end of me. But I
Good.
was one step short of the ventilator.
Yeah.
3 days after getting COVID, they finally said, "Okay, your lungs are starting to clear up a little bit." For 2 days, I thought I was going to die. I was like a quadriplegic, and I was ready to say goodbye to my family. And then 3 days later, doctor comes in and says, "I got some good news for you. I see a little improvement in your lungs," and it was very emotional for me. But that's why I get.
Did they use any treatment, or did you just do it on your own strength?
Yes, they gave me treatment. I'm trying to remember the drugs they gave me. They gave me antibodies.
Right.
I'm trying to remember some of the other drugs they gave me, and I'm forgetting. I haven't talked about this in a long time. But gosh, there's so many other things to talk about. We only have
My wife says, "Don't talk about COVID."
Well, listen, I think there are healthy conversations you could have. I believe we are having that conversation, but I cannot tolerate people that just make blatant statements. Masks don't work. The vaccines are killing millions of people. There's a radio talk show.
The blue mask doesn't work much. It's just a joke. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, there are masks that work better than others. I agree with you, but
hey, real fast, we're running short on time. I just want to say, I have 2 people in my campaign. I don't know if you've met Joe down in Las Vegas.
I have not. No.
You won't. He's 6'4", never an athlete. He loves politics. He's into it, and he's a good guy.
Yeah.
And he's my one partially paid person. And my other campaign guy is a libertarian up here, who's my right-hand man on the video and audio. And I like the libertarian viewpoint. I went to the convention here, and I'm like half libertarian Republican. So that's what I am.
Yeah, and I would like to consider myself leaning to the left on social issues, but I'm for capital punishment. I'm for border security. Let me ask you this question, because I ask this question to pretty much every Republican these days. Would you be willing to admit, Mr. Conrad, that Joe Biden won a free and fair election? Was he a free and fair elected president?
I would say yes, but let me paraphrase that. Because of COVID, they changed a lot of the rules, like the all mail-in ballot. And the Republicans did not do anything to do the proper selection. They could have got out and got the Republicans to vote. 120,000 Republicans did not vote in the state of Nevada, and Adam Laxalt lost by 7,000 votes. So the Republicans did a terrible job of getting out the vote. They could have done it with just by getting the ballots in the mail. So I put my ballot in the mail on Saturday. My wife lured the polls. It was terrible voting at the polls up here. A lot of people turned away, went away. It was bad weather.
Yeah.
And I've talked to people that said their quote unquote there wasn't registered, but both my wife's and my vote was registered. I do think it was fair in that the ballots were counted correctly. Now there's some questions about the lights out up here in Washoe County, but I think the Republicans didn't do their work to go out and get the ballots, get people to vote.
I could not agree with you more. I got to do rapid fire here because we only have a few more minutes left.
I'll come back. I'll visit you in studio.
Yeah, I would.
We just did an event. My cord is gone.
Oh.
I was out in the field yesterday.
Well, that's cool. No, I'm happy to have you in again. I think it's a good conversation. The next question I was going to ask you is, do you believe that Donald Trump should be partially responsible for what took place on January 6th? Do you believe he incited January 6th?
Inherently, he was not a good leader in that he allowed that to happen as president of the United States. I mean, you got to take responsibility when you're either a platoon leader or a squad leader or a team leader or running a human train team system. You got to take personal responsibility if you're going to be in those positions. He needs to take responsibility for that. I think we talked offhand. He was my last choice, but I did support him. I do think his policies, a lot of them are very good. I think he has a niche on talking to some of these dictators around the world. But on the other hand, I really don't like what Biden's doing at all right now. I mean, that's another side.
Yeah, it certainly is another side. And
we didn't really talk about what happened yesterday with the hearings.
We didn't, but I keep hearing these talks about how are you speaking in regards to Hunter Biden? Which topic? Which whistle?
No, I was going to say the hearings yesterday with the IRS on Hunter Biden and Biden. It's a dual thing because the 2 IRS agents that came forward had been in like 12 and 13 years, and they said they were. They could not investigate the president where they wanted to go, and they were blocked.
So let's talk about that because we unfortunately have only a few more minutes left here.
That's good. Well, come back.
Yeah, of course.
I dig deep.
Here's my problem with that, right? Hunter Biden, number one, has never been a politician before. They still have yet to show any direct evidence that Joe Biden committed a crime. Meanwhile, We have indictment after indictment and serious crime after serious crime when it comes to Donald Trump, the Espionage Act, maybe the Insurrection Act. I mean, he's on tape. He's on tape and audio showing classified documents to people without security clearances. Yep. And listen, if Hunter Biden, he was convicted, right? You could say it was a plea deal and a slap on the wrist, but if you look at others that have identical crimes that have never been convicted of a crime before, it really wasn't a slap on the wrist. It was par for the course. If anybody can show me actual real evidence that Joe Biden committed a crime, then let's talk about that. But nobody showed that yesterday.
I got to close with something. Let's step back past Joe Biden. When I came back from overseas, I had a TSSCI, worked at the State Department, had the same level of my clearance is the same as the Secretary of State. And Hillary Clinton absolutely broke the law and lied. And if I did what she did with the classified information on a personal laptop and then let it get on Wiener's computer, I would be in jail. So there's not equal justice here. The second thing is Biden has classified information in his garage that he had either from vice president or when he was a senator.
But he turned it over to his attorney and he did not defy a subpoena. That's the big difference.
Oh, no, I'm not arguing that, though. It's still a violation of the law.
Okay, understood. But he cooperated, and I can guarantee you, if Donald Trump
if you listen to those, if you listen to the yesterday's hearings, they were talking about how they were given a heads up when they did warrants, and they were already cleared through by the attorneys before they could get there.
Understood, but I mean, you're a smart guy. You know that if Donald Trump did not defy the subpoena, and if he cooperated, he would not be in the situation.
He causes his own problems. There's no doubt in my mind.
No, I want to talk to you next time you come on, Bill. I want to talk to you more about Joe Biden. I want to hear your criticism. By the way, for the record,
I've got some.
and by the way, for the record, Bill, I don't want Joe Biden to run again in 2024. We spoke a little bit off the air. Let me close by saying this, okay? When I put on my social media that you were coming on, I had multiple people say things to me, and I'm going to be honest with you, that were not so nice about you. They're like, oh, why are you having him on? He's a right-wing lunatic, stuff like that. And my response to them was, we had a nice conversation the other day. He served this country honorably. I want to give him the opportunity. And I got to be honest with you. In the conversation we've had, at least today, you seem like a pretty reasonable guy. You seem like a smart guy. It doesn't mean we're going to agree on everything, but you seem like a pretty well-spoken, reasonable guy to me. I've had a lot of lunatics on the show. I don't think you're one of them.
Well, I appreciate that.
Yeah, and I would welcome you to come
back.
Well,
I do lose my mind once in a while, I think, in politics.
Well, listen, I appreciate your service to this country. You are a hero. I appreciate the conversation, and it seems like sometimes 30 minutes isn't enough. I would absolutely welcome you back on the show, and if you're in Vegas, you're welcome in studio anytime.
Hey, Brian, I love your show, by the way. I love the equipment, the technology, and the direction as we talk, you're going. You are the future of radio and streaming. You're the future. Hang in there.
Look at that. Bald Jews are the future of radio. I like it.
I know you're Jewish.
Well, anyway, Mr.
Shapiro,
Conrad,
I guess I could have picked that up. I don't.
Mr. Conrad, I do appreciate your time and your service, and you're welcome back anytime, sir. And I appreciate the conversation, and I wish you the best of luck. And I'm sure we'll talk soon, sir. Thank you so much.
I appreciate it. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you so much. That's Bill Conrad, everybody. He's running for U.S. Senate. Seems like a pretty reasonable guy to me. I mean, I don't agree with him on everything, but I can tell you I've met a lot of whack jobs on the right in these last several years. Based on that conversation, I don't think he's one of them. He admits Donald Trump lost the election. Yes, he has criticisms of Joe Biden. Yes, he calls Vladimir Putin a dictator, a war criminal. I mean, those are the basics for me, right? I don't agree with everything he said about COVID, but those are the basics for me. And he got the check mark, okay? Seems like a pretty logical guy. And he's welcome back anytime. It's amazing, people out there, they'll say things about certain people and they're wrong. Bill Conrad seems like a decent man to me. And like I said, he's welcome back anytime, and I appreciate his service to this country. We got the big 7-footer coming up next. No, I'm not talking about Bill Cartwright. It's Paul Mokeski. It's Big Mo. He's coming up next. We got a lot to get to with him. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back right after this. You're listening to Pushing the Limits right here on KSHP.
Hey everybody, are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pie? Well, worry no more. Stallone's Italian Eatery Pizza is a knockout. We're We're located at 467 East Silverado Ranch Boulevard, just off of Premier Road, half a mile east of South Point Casino, just minutes from the Las Vegas Strip. Come by and grab a slice of pie. Plus, check out our Brooklyn-inspired Italian cuisine. Our sandwiches are super. Hero, that is. Because why be a sub when you can be a hero? Stallone's Italian Eatery is here to serve you phenomenal food, Vegas. Forget about it.
Buying or selling a home is a huge life event that requires guidance from an expert in the industry and community. My name is Blake Wynn. You may recognize my name as my grandfather was the best governor the state of Nevada has ever had. Growing up in Las Vegas, I've come to know this community intricately. Now, I am raising a family here as well, so I understand all the issues impacting our home and quality of life. As the top realtor for the #1 real estate team at Keller Williams, you can have confidence in my experience, knowledge, and track record. When it comes to buying, selling, or investing in real estate, choose a name you can trust and someone who understands the community you call home. Call Blake Wynn today and experience the difference of a trusted expert. 702-540-3311.
Sapphire Pool and Day Club, the world's only topless gentlemen's day club, introduces its 2023 pool season lineup with a bevy of beauties and social media celebrities throughout the summer who will all host alongside hundreds of Sapphire's topless poolside entertainers. Enjoy brunch in the sun with items like frittata-style omelets, stripping chicken, and French kiss toast before washing it down with signature summertime cocktails. 10 lines beware. Go Bear! Ladies are welcome to go topless within the day club for the ultimate party. Guests can purchase affordable day bed packages, cabana packages, lounge chairs, and more. The best part though? Pushing the Limits will be broadcasting shows every other Friday throughout the pool season with a ton of surprise celebrity guests. Wow! Reserve your spot now. For more info, visit SapphirePoolLV.com or call 702-869-0003. That's 702-869-0003. See you at Sapphire.
The radio shopping show is heard right here on KSHP North Las Vegas, AM and FM, 829 6HP North Las Vegas, and KSHP.com.
Hey everybody, it's Brian Shapiro from Pushing the Limits. I want to tell you guys about Sahara West Urgent Care and Wellness. They're conveniently located on the southwest corner of Sahara and Jones. They're open Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Saturday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. At Sahara West Urgent Care, they'll take care of all your healthcare needs. They offer routine services such as physicals, STD testing, car accident treatment, and work injuries. You name it, they do it. They have on-site x-ray, EKG, ultrasound, and labs. They treat chronic conditions such as asthma, blood pressure, diabetes, and more. They also offer general wellness exams, treatments such as testosterone enhancement, and cancer screening. They're located on Sahara, 6125 West Sahara Avenue. Their number is 702-248-0554. And the best part, they accept most major insurances and affordable cash pay prices, office visits starting at just $95. And I'm also a client, so please give them a call, 702-248-0554. All right, welcome back. It is Pushing the Limits on a Thursday. Thank you so much for joining us. By the way, we're going to be at Sapphire Gentlemen's Club Pool, the topless pool tomorrow. And we have some very special guests. The guy that's headlining at Jimmy Kimmel Comedy Club, Josh Wolf, is going to be stopping by. And I just learned that the former gangster and the movie Casino depicted one of his characters in there. He was friends with Lefty Rosenthal and Spilatro and all those guys. His stories are unbelievable. Frank Citro is going to be joining us at Sapphire tomorrow, so that's going to be fun. Yeah, that's going to be interesting. I keep inviting Paul Mokeski, but he keeps turning me down for Sapphire. He's a happily married man, so I understand that.
I
but
might get over there. I'll wear some big old mirror sunglasses.
Fair enough. Before we get to Mr. Mokeski, my parents are moving out here in 2 weeks, and my good friend Blake Wynn with Keller Williams, if you're thinking of buying or selling a home, there's no better person to call. He took care of my family, took him under his wings. He grew up here in Las Vegas, been here his whole life. His grandfather's the former governor. Blake is one of the best in the business, and he grew up here his whole life. Please give him a call, 702-540-3311. Let me give out that number again. Tell him you heard it here. on Pushing the Limits. Blake Gwynn, Keller Williams Group. If you're thinking of buying or selling a home, he will give you the best advice, and he will help you out. 702-540-3311. All right, now let's get to the big fellow that's in studio right now. We were just talking about our mutual friend Al DeLeon, who met Jose Altuve at the Angels game, and we were trying to figure out who's taller. And I don't know. That's a really good. It's a really good question. I don't know who is taller.
I think that's a toss-up, but I hope that selfie helps.
It's so funny. We were at a craps table a few weeks ago, and one of the floor men is like 4 feet tall, and our friend Al goes, "You guys need to take a picture with one another." And it's like your legs are bigger than his whole body. It was extremely funny picture. Anyway, Mo, what you been up to the last week?
Well, before we start, we need to talk about the biggest update in the world.
What's that?
Tupac's update on his who killed him.
I'm glad you brought that up.
You know, I'm talking.
I have an update to give you.
Nice.
Here, listen to this. The police officer who was the first one on the scene of the crime, of the shooting that night, and there we go, the Tupac music. The last person to see Tupac conscious, the police officer. That police officer is going to be joining me in studio next week.
That's awesome. Supposedly he heard his last words, right?
His last words were "F you."
Oh, was it?
The cop had him in his arms and said, "Who did this to you? Who did this to you?" And he's going to tell the story on the air next week. And Tupac.
But am I hearing right that they found possible weapon?
Let me give an update. Let me give an update on that.
It's more important than anything we talk about.
This is, and I know you're a big Tupac fan, Mo. So,
absolutely,
yes.
It's groundbreaking.
All right, so here's the deal. There's a little more information I got from the source. The source is Paul Mokeski singing California. We should have him do some karaoke. That's what we should do. We really should. No, so the person they went to, Metro went, the SWAT team. Here's what. All right, cut the Tupac music now. I can't focus with the Tupac. That's what I do when I tell him to turn the music off. He makes it. So last week it was Mo playing the air drums, which I forgot to post on social media, and I'm gonna have to splice that together with him singing California. I got to get on it. All right, so here's what happened.
Now you got this to put with it.
I know. I got a best of Paul Mokeski's antics in studio. So the SWAT team went to see this guy on Monday. Here's the thing: this guy that they went with the SWAT team, they interviewed him back in 2009. He is the uncle of the guy who killed Tupac. This guy Anderson, who passed away like a year or two after the murder. This is his uncle. Okay, they interviewed him in 2009. Metro did, and here's what I found out through sources. They said anything you say in this interview, we cannot use against you. You cannot incriminate yourself in this interview. He fessed up, and he said yes, he gave the gun to Anderson, his nephew. He didn't pull the trigger. Anderson did, and they said okay. And Metro kind of left it alone because there's no physical evidence and there's nothing they can do, and they can't use anything in that interview. Okay, doesn't mean he has immunity. What this moron did is he did a couple interviews fairly recently, gloating and bragging about being a part of the Tupac murder. Metro finally said, okay, enough is enough with this guy. He's making us look bad, and he doesn't have immunity. We're going to try to get this guy. Now, I don't know if they'll be able to, but I heard they're going to try to press some sort of charge against him, and that's why they went to the house. If anything, say, knock it off. And that's what I know right now. He hasn't been arrested yet, but I believe they went there knowing that, yeah, they're probably going to get him for something.
Yeah, that's just stupidity and ego, right?
Right.
You know what? I can say what I want because I'm smarter than everybody. Kind of like someone, that was a former president that thinks he can say whatever he wants and no one will listen.
You must be talking about Barack Obama.
Yeah,
yes,
for
yes,
sure.
Of course, of course.
No, this guy's name started with a T. But,
yeah.
You're wrong if you think you can just. First of all, you're wrong if you think you're smarter than everybody in the room, but you really don't know who was in the room. Yeah. I'm not a poker player. You are, but I know one thing that my dad taught me: if you sit down at a poker table and you don't know who the
it's probably you.
Who the loser is, it's you.
You're right, and your father gave you some really good advice there. And listen, they were trying to kill Suge Knight as well, and Suge Knight is now in jail for running over a guy and murdering a guy.
I don't know if it was before or after that. I was at the Summer League, staying at the Palms. I think I was with the Mavericks at the time. And Linda and I, my wife, went down to eat at the cafe.
Yeah.
And there was somebody with a bunch of bodyguards sitting in a booth next to us. I didn't know who it was. And back then, he goes, he goes, "Does he look like this and this and this?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "That's Suge Knight." I'm like, "Oh shoot, let me get out of here."
So he actually is a former UNLV football player. I don't know if you knew that.
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so he has
big dude.
He has some Vegas ties, and they were trying to kill him as well. I believe he was shot, but he wasn't seriously injured. Here's how stupid Suge Knight is. So the shooting happened actually, I believe, on Tropicana in Koval, right? Or is it Flamingo in Koval?
After
Flamingo in Koval.
After a fight, right?
Right.
A
Well,
boxing
there was an
match,
altercation at the Mike Tyson fight, correct?
Uh-huh.
MGM Grand. They get into words. It was over a chain or something stupid.
Something stupid, of course.
So the shooting happens on Flamingo and Koval, and here you have Tupac, who is bleeding to death and dying. What does Suge Knight do? Does he call 911? Does he rush his good friend to the hospital? No. He does what a dope would do. He tries to follow the people who shot them. And it goes, while Tupac is struggling to breathe and dying, they follow them, and it ends on Harmon and Las Vegas Boulevard. This is where this officer arrives, who's going to be joining me in studio next week to talk about this and maybe a little bit about what he knows about the investigation. If anything, he's retired. But if Suge Knight, who knows? Maybe Tupac, maybe if he got help a little sooner, maybe he's still alive. I don't know.
Maybe he took him right to the hospital or somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what happened that night. It's crazy that this story is now out again.
Yeah.
And I think this guy's made Metro look really bad. You pissed off Metro.
Don't do that.
You did an interview in 2009. If they were going to arrest you, they would have done it by now. But you decided to gloat about being a part of the murder of Tupac to try to become famous or whatever reasons he did. And I believe he's going to go to jail now. I think Metro's going to say, okay, I think we have enough to get. The problem is I don't think they have the murder weapon. I don't think they have any physical evidence. So it's going to be difficult. I don't know what they're going to be able to charge him with, but definitely they were looking in the house for something.
You know what's great is watching TV shows that are cold case. You know, they go back and they find, like CSI does sometimes. And, you know, I'm watching a series on, I don't know if it's Apple Plus or something. It's called Bosch. It's about a detective in California, in Los Angeles. And that's part of what he does, too. It's really interesting how they go back and check records and find stuff that nobody really thought about.
I do watch that show from time to time, and I do find it kind of fascinating and how stupid some of these criminals are. It really is incredible. There are very few intelligent criminals out there. A lot of them are very dumb. But I find
most of them get caught.
What was that triple murder case with the 3 college students? I'm trying to remember what college campus that was on.
In Idaho? Or?
Yeah, I think it was Idaho.
Yeah. The two girls and the guy.
Yeah,
that were roommates.
And it's incredible that they were able to get this guy off of some very limited evidence. But what a crazy person.
Yeah. And here's the twist that I still don't understand. So there were 2 other female roommates in that house. They lived on there was 3 floors, and they lived on the bottom floor, and they were there. And these people were stabbed, viciously, and they had to be making some noise. And supposedly one of the girls walked up the stairs, saw a dark figure, and went back down the stairs. That's mind-boggling.
Very mind-boggling, very confusing. Yeah. This guy is obviously deranged and a psychopath. And if you look at his history of the way he behaved, he was a psychopath, and he was obsessed with this sort of stuff.
Yeah, you could tell when you look at when they walk him into the court.
Yeah, he's a psycho.
But he looks like someone you get on the elevator with.
Yeah.
He looks like. But when you look at his face, you could tell there's something not right there.
He's definitely deranged, and that's kind of a wild and crazy case, and it's very sad and it's awful, and I feel for the families and just. It's terrible. I hope he goes to jail, which he probably will for the rest of his life, but it'll never bring them back. Since we're on the case of murders and politics,
we need to do another show.
We should. Can I ask you a question? Have you listened to the Jason Aldean song, the new song that has controversy?
I haven't. I've listened to a little bit of it, and I've seen part of the video, but not totally. So,
what do you make of this guy?
Well, I mean, I see where one part of the message is. Which some other person has brought up, like, you go to San Francisco or even here, people are just walking in the stores and taking stuff and leaving. Mm-hmm. Because obviously the people don't want to get damaged or anything.
Don't play the song. Don't do it. Don't do it. No, I don't want to. Please.
Hold on. You know what I want right now, right?
He's a whiny bitch. Please don't play the song.
You know what I want right now?
What?
I want you to sing.
No, I'm not singing this song. He's a whiner. Oh, I hate this guy. I hate Jason Aldean. I really do.
Have you before this song?
Can I tell you why? Yeah, lower it for a second. Seriously. The first second. And I said this in the first segment. October 1 was not his fault. He was performing. I get that. prances off the stage, gets into his trailer, and dodges and leaves town. Doesn't do anything. He talks about how he's such a tough guy. Didn't do any charity work for anybody here in Las Vegas. He didn't come back here and do a charity concert or anything like that. Okay, so in Tennessee, he helped 25 survivors. What are we talking about? 40 grand, 50 grand? I don't know. It wasn't a ton of money for a guy that makes millions of dollars performing. He did nothing to help people in Las Vegas. And then in this song, he talks about how he's such a tough guy and his grandpa gave him a gun. Boy, you really didn't do anything to help those people on October 1, did you, tough guy?
Yeah.
And then he depicts all Black Lives Matter images and burning flags and violence, which, by the way, no reasonable person would condone. But what about white supremacy? What about January 6th? You won't see any images like that in this video. Why doesn't somebody write a song, Take This to Our Small Town, and show images of January 6th? Or a white supremacist who goes into a Walmart and shoots a bunch of brown people. That's my problem with him. And he also shows a video of a vigilante, or whatever you call it, whatever. You want to call him a hero, fine, but two black guys going into a gas station trying to rob the place and a white guy sucker punching them. That's a really bad message. No cop would say that's a good message. And that's my problem. To me, it's you're condoning violence, and I don't know. I went on a rant there. I'm sorry.
That's okay. And here's the problem, too, what I hear and what I've heard, is that he is making the statement that that's not what I meant by this video. I didn't mean against black. I didn't mean. You can't tell me that his representatives, the representatives of the record company, representative of the video company, 1,000 people didn't watch this and say, wait a minute. This is the message you are sending. No matter if you mean it or not, this is what you're sending. And he didn't say, I don't care.
I'm going to try not to generalize, but I am. Not every country music fan is white, but most of them are. Not every country music fan is a MAGA supporter, but most of them are. Not every country music fan is going to agree with that message, but most of them are. They're going to lead you to believe that it's Antifa and Democrats and black people that are committing all the crime in this country, and it can't be a MAGA supporter, and that January 6th was a tourist visit. That is the message that Jason Aldean is sending, and he is a coward. He is a coward based on his behavior and actions during January 6th, October 1 and after October 1. It's interesting because I brought up Adriana Grande, and I'm not like a fan of her music or anything, but she's a hero. And I say that because she's the poster child for what you should do. Some of her fans died with that bombing. What did she do? She went back and she held a charity concert and millions and millions of dollars for her fans and for the people that were injured and for the families of the people who died. That's a hero. And Jason Aldean is the opposite of that. Oh, but Brian, he raised money for charity in Tennessee. What did he put up, 40 or 50 grand? And we're supposed to praise him? He never came back here and did a charity event. It was the biggest mass shooting in American history. Don't you think he'd come back here and do something?
I would think if you're, and I've never been shot at. My sons have been shot at.
Law enforcement.
Law enforcement, but I've never been shot at. But I hope to believe that I would be man enough to stay around, not be scared and get the hell out of town, and stay around to see, I'm going to go visit the hospital. These are my fans, right? I'm going to go see in the hospital. I'm going to visit families and fans and see if they're okay and arrange for that charity thing here at T-Mobile or Allegiant Stadium, wherever you want to do it. But I'm not gonna leave town because it was at my event, my fans that actually pay my salary, make money for me. So, I think there's such a mixed message. I can see don't come into our town and think you could do all this stuff that you do in San Francisco and all that. But putting that together with the video that was shown is not a. And to say that I didn't mean it that way, I don't agree with that.
No, he's a liar. He's disingenuous, and he's a liar, and he knows that his base of fans love that sort of stuff. It's good for his brand. He's making money, and he knows those are, for the most part, not everybody, but a lot of his fans love that stuff. Just go on his YouTube page or go on the song and just look it up on YouTube. You'll see all of his fans that just eat it up. They love it. Let's attack the Black Lives Matter movement, but those are the same people that say January 6th was a tourist visit.
Maybe if he directed toward the deep state, they would get a little better response.
I know you were listening to that last interview. Yeah. But I don't know, man. There's so much going on in the world before we get to basketball. It's really mind-boggling.
It's nice talking about other stuff, though.
It is, though. It is good talking about other stuff. But Every day it's something new.
It's crazy.
Every day it's something new with Donald Trump. It's a new indictment. It's another crazy thing that he says or does. Here's something interesting. Tell me what you make of this. Fox News ratings have plummeted. They are, MSNBC is destroying them. Sean Hannity is getting killed by MSNBC. MSNBC's numbers have consistently gone up, and Fox News. Jesse Waters is a talentless clown, and he's in the primetime spot on Fox News. It's unwatchable.
Well, since the lawsuit, right, they've let some people go because they're whatever you want to do. But the people they're filling them in with are the same people,
Geraldo
but
Rivera,
not as talented.
They just let go of Geraldo Rivera, by the way.
I saw him
The
on it.
Five was one of the highest rated shows on cable television. Those numbers have plummeted.
I saw him on an interview, and they grilled him a little bit, rightfully so. And
I like Geraldo.
Yeah, and he said, listen, Geraldo, we've been friends for Trump, we've been friends for a long time. New York, blah, blah, blah. Been through a lot. He's still my friend, but I don't agree with what he's doing now. So I respect that.
I appreciate anybody, even if it takes them too long, like Chris Christie. I respect and appreciate anybody. I have more respect for somebody like a Liz Cheney or a Mitt Romney who voted for impeachment, but at least they're on the right side of history now. Like, you still have Nikki Haley and these people that are still defending Donald Trump, and it's disgusting.
How many people did he fire or resign the last year of his presidency?
It's crazy.
That at the end, when he was talking about how I would let them have 10,000 troops, and that, which is a lie. The person he's supposed to tell that to says, no, he never told me that. Right. But the people he was listening to at that time were the Pillow Guy and Stone and who knows who else. I mean, that's just insanity. And I've been around the world. Basketball has taken me around the world. And I have friends all around the world, including China, who've coached there. And, at that point, it was embarrassing. They were just laughing at us. And now he's back at it, and people are like, yeah, okay. Yeah. I'm like, oh, my gosh.
Speaking of what you just mentioned with some of these radicals, I didn't even mention this, but there's something called the Reawaken Tour. I don't know if you heard about this. It's been going on throughout the country. So they're going to have this event next month in North Las Vegas. Headlining it is Alex Jones, and I believe Robert
AlexJones.com.
Yeah, Robert F. By the way, Alex Jones said the October 1 shooting here was orchestrated by Democrats. And there's a guy, an organizer. And I'm talking about some of the most far right.
He's the one that had to pay hundreds of millions, right, to the school shooting in Florida, right?
Correct.
That he was found did he
Not
admit
Parkland,
he lied?
Sandy Hook.
Yeah, did he admit he lied finally? Or no?
He never admitted he lied. He said that's what he thought at the time, and he was wrong.
So that's what he's going to use in this thing.
So this guy who is putting on this event, I'm going to try to get him on the show next week and try to defend it. There are going to be, people like Simone Gold are going to be there. She's a felon. Paul Gosar, Charlie Kirk, Mike Lindell. I mean, some of the most right-wing.
Is that the Pillow Guy?
Yeah.
I'm going, man. I got to see him.
There are going to be some wackadoodles there. And North Las Vegas has taken a lot of crap for even allowing them to put on this event.
Where are they going to do it at?
I forgot this amphitheater in North Las Vegas.
Yeah. See, that's where, I'm not going to, but the last, it was a packed crowd, sold out, 500 people.
Yeah, right. But, the organizer, I guess he's a life coach. He's putting on this event. I was given his number, and he said he'd probably come on the show. And I want to say to him, I understand there's something called freedom of speech. I get that. But when we had the biggest mass shooting in American history, and your biggest guest speaker is a guy who said Democrats orchestrated it, who said the school shooting in Connecticut didn't happen, who has said a number of despicable conspiracy theory things that have hurt people and are a danger to society.
Families.
Okay. It's one thing if this guy on his show does that. You're not a part of that. But why would you pay this guy and have him come to Las Vegas? He talks, this organizer, Christian values. Is that a Christian value? I don't understand these people, and I will ask him that when he comes on the show, hopefully next week. But you want to talk about the biggest like Michael Flynn, the biggest right wing who talks about the cabal, election deniers. They're going to be in North Las Vegas next month. Wayne Allen Root, who says millions of people have died from the vaccine, and he said Muslims are responsible for October 1.
Well, is there a satellite that lasers and shoots something?
Yeah, Jews are, March with Yellow Green. Yeah. And by the way, they support QAnon too, this group that is putting on this event. It is crazy, and I understand there's something called freedom of speech. But North Las Vegas had decided, It's okay to give these people a platform, and we'll take their money, and they rent out this amphitheater. And guess what? They're wrong. They shouldn't be doing this.
Well, there's a problem if you're in North Las Vegas at some amphitheater that you never heard of. And there's only about 1,000 venues here in Las Vegas that you could go to.
That's very true. Eric, I know you're good friends. Donald Trump Jr. and Eric Trump will be here as well.
Oh, that's good.
Do you want a backstage pass?
Yeah, I think if we could get a pass, and we'll probably go to dinner or something.
Would you like
because I am in that cabal.
By the way, here's something funny. Are you? I didn't know that.
I am, yeah. We got a handshake and everything.
I wasn't going to go, but I put in for a media credential to the Donald Trump event here a few weeks ago. I don't think I ever said this. They denied me a credential because I think the people that were in charge of it were probably local people that knew them. Yeah. I've gotten credentials to the Super Bowl. I've gotten credentials to presidential debates. I went to the presidential debate here, and I got denied a press pass to a Donald Trump event.
There's a reason for that. And there's some other situation I've been in. That means that the people involved are in a cult, because what cults do is they separate you, they give you false information, and they don't let you contact your family or anybody else, and they don't want anybody else saying anything to you.
You are 100% right. I couldn't agree with you more. It's a cult, and if you disagree with me, have you seen any malarkey flags on the back of pickup trucks? No, because people who voted for Trump are not in a cult. The Democrats are not in a cult. And when you look at the Republican Party, yes, the overwhelming majority of people that are still supporting Donald Trump are part of a cult.
Okay, I was thinking about this on the drive over because I'm bored, I guess. I said, okay, you're interviewing me, right?
Yeah.
And you say, is Paul Mokeski, he played 12 years in the NBA, and I say, no, I played 20. And you say, no, Paul, you didn't play 20. It's right here in the stats. Here's your records. You played 12 years. And I say, that's false information. I played 20 years, and I averaged 20 points a game. But, Paul, your average was 4 points a game. Well, that's false information.
Right.
And I don't want to look at the past. Yeah. I want to look at the future. So that's fake news. That's not, I was MVP of the league 3 times. No, Paul, you weren't. You were never MVP of the league. Oh, yeah, that's because they never told you because they're keeping it down. That's kind of like, that's how I think of stuff. It's like crazy.
It is. We're living in crazy times, Mo, and I talk about this stuff on the air every day. I hope I get this organizer on, and I'd like to understand why he would want to pay somebody like Alex Jones to come out here.
Why he wouldn't let you go.
Yeah. To a Trump rally. Yeah, I don't know. Listen, I wasn't going to go anyway. I had better things to do, but I just, for blanks and giggles, if you know what I'm saying.
And actually, I would caution you, even if you thought about that, because it could be dangerous.
Yes, it probably could be.
With crazy people.
You're right. All right, I'm going to take a quick break. Before we do, I want to tell you guys about my good friends at Sahara West Urgent and Primary Care. They're located at 6125 West Sahara Avenue. You don't even need an appointment. They take most insurances, and if you don't have insurance, it's only $95. How can you beat that? They gave me the testosterone therapy. I'm like 18 again.
You're looking bigger, too.
Yeah, I am. Hopefully the women will say that, Mo, but that's another story for another show. I'm George Burns, 18 again. The number to call is 702-248-0554. You could also visit them online at SaharaWestUrgentCare.com. All right, here's what we're going to do. We got Paul Mokeski in studio, the official political commentator of Pushing the Limits.
That's right, baby.
I kind of like talking a little politics.
I know.
But when we come back, we are going to talk hoops. I had Junkyard Dog Jerome Williams on the show the other day. Great guy. I love Jerome. He said some interesting things about Kyrie Irving. We're going to play them for you, and I want you to respond to it. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back right after this. You're watching and listening, hopefully, to Pushing the Limits right here on KSHP.
Hey everybody, are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pie? Well, worry no more. Stallone's Italian Eatery Pizza is a knockout. We're located at 467 East Silverado Ranch Boulevard, just off of Premium Road, half a mile east of South Point Casino, just minutes from the Las Vegas Strip. Come by and grab a slice of pie. Plus, check out our Brooklyn-inspired Italian cuisine. Our sandwiches are super. Hero, that is. Because why be a sub when you can be a hero? Stallone's Italian Eatery is here to serve you phenomenal food, Vegas. Forget about it.
Look, it's impossible for the average person to find a great attorney out there. There's so much misinformation. Now, let me introduce you to former Chief Deputy District Attorney Thomas Moskal. He was Las Vegas's top DUI prosecutor for years. He prosecuted the most high-profile DUI cases in Clark County. No one knows more about DUI law in Nevada. Just Google it. If you get charged with DUI, whether it's a misdemeanor or even more importantly, a felony, you need Thomas Moskal representing you. His relationships with the prosecutors and judges and his knowledge of DUI law to work for you. So give him a call now or text him at 702-848-5555. It's your life and liberty that's at stake. Don't wait. Call now. That number again, 702-848-5555.
Buying or selling a home is a huge life event that requires guidance from an expert in the industry and community. My name is Blake Wynn. You may recognize my name as my grandfather was the best governor the state of Nevada has ever had. Growing up in Las Vegas, I've come to know this community intricately. Now, I am raising a family here as well. So I understand all the issues impacting our home and quality of life. As the top realtor for the #1 real estate team at Keller Williams, you can have confidence in my experience, knowledge, and track record. When it comes to buying, selling, or investing in real estate, choose a name you can trust and someone who understands the community you call home. Call Blake Wynn today and experience the difference of a trusted expert. 702-540-3311.
Sapphire Pool and Day Club, the world's only topless gentlemen's day club, introduces its 2023 pool season lineup with a bevy of beauties and social media celebrities throughout the summer who will all host alongside hundreds of Sapphire's topless poolside entertainers. Enjoy brunch in the sun with items like frittata-style omelets, stripping chicken, and French kiss toast before washing it down with signature summertime cocktails. 10 lines, beware. Go Bear! Ladies are welcome to go topless within the day club for the ultimate party. Guests can purchase affordable day bed packages, cabana packages, lounge chairs, and more. The best part though? Pushing the Limits will be broadcasting shows every other Friday throughout the pool season with a ton of surprise celebrity guests. Wow! Reserve your spot now. For more info, visit sapphirepoolLV.com or call 702-869-0003. That's 702-869-0003. See you at Sapphire.
Hey everybody, it's Brian Shapiro from Pushing the Limits. I want to tell you guys about Sahara West Urgent Care and Wellness. They're conveniently located on the southwest corner of Sahara and Jones. They're open Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Saturday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. At Sahara West Urgent Care, they'll take care of all your healthcare needs. They offer routine services such as physicals, STD testing, car accident treatment, and work injuries. You name it, they do it. They have on-site x-ray, EKG, ultrasound, and labs. They treat chronic conditions such as asthma, blood pressure, diabetes, and more. They also offer general wellness exams, treatments such as testosterone enhancement and cancer screening. They're located on Sahara, 6125 West Sahara Avenue. Their number is 702-248-0554. And the best part, they accept most major insurances and affordable cash pay prices. Office visits starting at just $95. And I'm also a client, so please give them a call, 702-248-0554. Okay, welcome back. It is Pushing the Limits. Thank you so much for joining us. I want to tell you guys about my favorite gaming bar in town. Of course, I'm talking about Jackson's Bar and Grill, located at Flamingo and Jones. I was out there the other day. Great people. By the way, the owner, Brian Slipok. How many times could I say by the way in one sentence? By the way.
By the way.
In other words.
Yeah, by the way, Brian Slipok, the owner of Jackson's Bar and Grill, will be making an appearance at Sapphire tomorrow, along with Frank Citro, the former gangsta, black booked everywhere, except my show. No, I'm just kidding. Frank's a great guy. He'll be joining us at Sapphire tomorrow. And Josh Wolf is headlining at Jimmy Kimmel's Comedy Club this weekend. He's going to be coming out to Sapphire. And there'll be more celebrity guests as well. So come out, check us out tomorrow, Sapphire Pool, as we broadcast live. But Jackson's Bar and Grill, great food, great atmosphere. They've got great promotions. Mondays and Wednesdays, if you hit 4 to the Royal, and you just missed the Royal,
one away,
you do get a chance to spin the wheel to win up to $3,000 in free play. So please check them out, Jackson's Bar and Grill. Tell them I sent you. Paul Mokeski is also a fan of Jackson's Bar and Grill. I know he is, and he
right
wants
off the bat.
He wants some free play for me for saying that. Yeah.
Hurting me. It's been hurting me a little bit.
How have the slot machines been treating you lately? Not so good.
See, they hooked me in because I had that Royal first time you took me there, and
right?
But then since then they've taken all that money back.
It's like they know. It's like they know. The machines know. We got a newbie. Let's let him win some money, and then
thought this was easy. Right?
Yeah, it's definitely not easy. So I had Jerome Williams on the show the other day, and I'm a friend of Jerome's. I just think he's a really good guy.
Great ambassador to the game.
He really is, and he's a great family man. It's interesting because when I think of Jerome, I think of you a lot in the way he played. He did a lot of the dirty work for his team.
Dog, yeah.
He did a lot of stuff under the basket that some people weren't willing to do, and he was willing to do whatever it took to help his team win. And I feel like your career was very similar to that. Maybe you weren't the most talented player on the floor, maybe they're not most skilled, but you had the ability to really make a difference in a game. And I feel like his career was very similar to yours, why he was called Junkyard Dog, right?
Yeah, and, I know he bounced around a little bit. I bounced around a little bit.
4 teams he played for, yep.
Yeah, and same with me. And a lot of reason for that is, you're valuable, and other teams see that you're valuable and want to get you on their team to be that missing piece, because we do what other players don't want to do.
And the opposite of like a Kyrie Irving, which we're going to talk about, where I think the reason why he's on other teams is everybody knows how good of a player he is, but he's a cancer to teams, I believe. I believe Kyrie Irving is a cancer to a basketball team.
I just, he's talented. I mean,
he's unbelievable.
I mean, the way he handles the ball, the way he can shoot, get a shot off. Also, the way he can get the ball to people right at the right spot. Very, very high basketball IQ.
Yeah.
But off the court, at some point, teams, teammates, organizations don't really want to deal with that other stuff that you have. I talked on my show, We Got Next last night, about the Golden State Warriors situation with Draymond Green and Poole. And they made a decision. So we got Draymond Green, who is a headache, right? He's a headache, but he's really, and his skills are going down. So do we invest in him, or do we invest in Poole, who a young player, very talented, great upside? And I think Poole signed that deal at the end, and the Warriors didn't want him back because of the way he acted in the playoffs on the bench and playing a little bit in Sacramento. He was laughing, kidding, not interested. And at some point, the Warriors said, "Well, we're going to go give our money to Draymond. We're going to trade Poole, get what we can, and move on." But the thing that started it all was the punch at the beginning of the season.
Yeah.
And I've been in fights and been on team fights in locker rooms, arguments on practice court, blah blah blah. The way that vicious punch was thrown, it was on the run. That was meant to do damage. And if he would have connected, he could have cost Poole his career.
Yeah.
Could have broke his orbit bone, whatever. So that kind of punch and that
was criminal.
Yeah, that kind of confrontation, no matter what you say, we shook hands, everything's right, we're okay. Bullshit. You're not. You don't get past that. And they paid for it last year. They didn't do as well as they could have done, and they had to make a decision. So at some point, either something like that comes, or some player does stuff off the court or in the locker room that you're like, okay, that's enough.
Mo, I agree with you 100% with everything you said, and that punch to me was so egregious, and it could have ended Poole's career.
It scared me.
You could kill somebody by doing that, and there's no excuse for it. All right, so I had Junkyard Dog on the other day. I brought up Kyrie Irving. I have a feeling you might disagree with him, but we talked about the retweet of that anti-Semitic documentary movie that was out that Kyrie should have never done. Here is Jerome Williams, Junkyard Dog, talking about that.
Well, I think Kyrie is in a tough situation because the media and everybody has an opinion about, what his, outlook is, when he's clearly stated several times that he loves Jewish people, doesn't have a problem with Jewish people. So instead of people commenting on that, they go to the fact that, within the film, there's talk of, some anti-Semitism within the film, but, that wasn't, his viewpoint. That wasn't the message that he was trying to put across.
What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I never saw the film. Did you watch the film, Brian?
I did not.
Okay.
I refused to.
Yeah, so I never watched it. But in my understanding is anti-Semitism is not included in the film. It's the main part of the film, right?
Correct.
Is what I understand. So that's a different. It's not part of the. It was what it was about. And here's so he's put in a tough situation. You make $50 million a year, and you're the star, and you said some crazy stuff in the past. So you are, and you should know that, right? And
correct.
And so to retweet something like that is saying that you agree with it, or people should watch it, or something. Is what I understand.
You have to have responsibility.
So there's two things. If he watched it and got the message that everybody else got and retweeted it, that's a problem. You agree with somewhat with anti-Semitism. Right. If you didn't watch it, which I think was the case, and maybe someone told you about it, one of your buddies said, hey, you should watch this because it has some of this in there, and you retweet it, then you should say, listen, I never watched the film, so I don't know what's included in there, and that's my mistake. I shouldn't have retweeted it.
Right.
So you step up to your mistake, you own it, and you move on. But he has always like sugarcoated it, and he put in a bad situation? Sure, but he put himself in that situation, and there's different ways to handle it. I agree with you. I mean, you could have handled it. America loves, if you make a mistake, which we all do, and you admit it, and you try to move on and get better from it, that's okay. But if you keep, saying, well, I didn't mean this, or it's like the video we were just talking about, right? He's the one that put that out, Aldine. He's the one that put that out, so he agrees with what's in there.
Right.
So
I agree.
I
you
think
have to own it.
It's the same thing, and like Kyrie is like one of the best players I've ever seen. Not on Mount Rushmore for me, but one of the best players. But your off-court stuff counts. Your locker room, most of the season, 8 months to 10 months if you're in the finals, you only spend 20% of the time on the court playing a game. The other 80% is in locker rooms, on airplanes, meetings in hotels, on practice courts. That's the time you spend with everybody. So, you have to mesh together. Denver Nuggets were a perfect example this year of a team that had the talent, not overwhelming talent. They weren't better than a lot of teams, but they fit together, and they like playing with each other.
Right.
And I know there's teams, I talked about this last night, the Detroit Pistons bad boys, where Isaiah Lampier loved Isaiah, but a lot of people didn't like him. Isaiah liked Lampier, but nobody else on his team except Rick Mahorn liked him, and they could win. Same with a couple other situations in the past. I don't think that's true anymore. Yeah. Players are more sensitive.
I agree.
Social media, everything, like
it's magnified.
When I played with the Bucks, there wasn't Twitter, there wasn't Instagram, there wasn't all this stuff that I could make comments of that my teammates could read and say, "Wait a minute,
right?
What are you talking about?"
Yeah. That's a good point you made with social media and everything else. Now everything is more more sensitivity. I want to say this, and I think you'll agree with me on this. What I told Junker is this: even after Kyrie retweeted that out, right? If the next day he just apologized and wasn't so combative with the media, and if he just said it like this, I would have told him to say, look, I shouldn't have retweeted that out. I apologize to anybody who was offended. I'll be honest with you. I didn't watch the movie. That was my mistake.
Or I watched it and didn't get what they get from it.
Exactly.
That's my point of view.
And just say, I love the Jewish people. I apologize to them. It won't happen again. Not only would we not be talking about it, but there wouldn't have been a press conference and another press conference. But what he did was the opposite of that, right, Mo? He waited, then he was combative in that press conference, and he's just an idiot.
So here's a couple things on that. When I saw that next press conference,
yeah,
and as a reporter, if you were in that room, he looked like he came in there and wanted to prove he was the smartest guy in the room.
Right.
You don't understand me. You don't know where I'm coming from. Only I know only I know the stuff, and that's a problem. Here's the other thing the point I just made. Teammates have to deal with it. Coaches have to deal with it, the organization. So not only did Kyrie have to have press conferences, all his teammates or the main teammates had to deal with those questions every day. What do you think about Kyrie's retweet? Do you agree with that? Did you watch the film? So now they're usually family men and want to go home to their family and live a smooth. Now they have to answer that all the time.
And it's worse, Mo, because listen, if people didn't want to get the vaccine, that's fine. But his anti-vaccine rhetoric and his stupidity, in my personal opinion, could kill people. His stupidity, because he has no idea what he's talking about when it comes to the vaccines. And he thought he was some champion or hero or spokesperson for people. Really, he was the opposite, somebody with no medical experience. I think Kyrie is a very stupid person. I mean, this is the guy who says the earth is flat. Maybe he thinks that's funny. You have a huge platform. You're not a doctor. Okay. Besides the fact that you ruined that Brooklyn team with your stupidity, because that's what he did. Then he starts talking about like you're right. He talks like he thinks he's the smartest person in the room. He's some physician. I mean, I don't want to say I was hanging with him, but I was in the same room with him for a few hours the other day. He's really weird. He's a bizarre, weird guy, and he's got some mental illness going there. There's something wrong with him.
When you have a platform like that, that level, and you say, even if you don't believe it and you say it flippant, or you do believe it and you share it that the world is flat or whatever, even if it's a joke, some people are going to believe it. It's like if someone, I don't know who, would say in the middle of a pandemic, you know what? If you inject this horse injection into your body, you will cure COVID. Guess what? Or chlorine.
Ask
Guess what?
Joe Rogan about that.
And guess what? People did it and died.
Yeah.
You know, that's their fault for listening, but you never know. So
there are a lot of dumb people out there that can be influenced by somebody like a Kyrie Irving, and I would love, if I was in a room with Kyrie Irving and I had the opportunity to talk to him about these issues, which I never would. Nobody would. He won't do it. I would say to him, Kyrie, where do you get your medical information from? And what is it about the vaccine that you think is so dangerous, and why didn't you take it? Do you realize what you did to the organization? And number 3, I would say, why didn't you apologize for the retweet the next day? Why were you so combative with the media? Why didn't you talk to the owner of the team, who appears to me to be a very nice guy? Cy, is that his name?
Yeah.
Really nice guy. I had an opportunity to talk with him because he's the part owner of the lacrosse team here. And I talked to him about Kyrie. And I said, why didn't you even return his text messages and calls? This is the guy that's writing your checks. Do you really think you're the smartest person in the room? You're a great basketball player. Guess what? That doesn't mean you're a great person. And it doesn't mean you're a PhD, because you're not. You went to Duke for 1 year. You don't have a college education. Yeah, if that. You don't have a college education. You're not smarter than all the infectious disease experts all over the world. You're not smarter than a guy that owns a team like what? You're right. I get the sense that he just thinks he's smarter than everybody else. And it's certainly hurt his basketball career as far as, he's got 1 championship. I get it. He won one with LeBron. I don't think he's getting another.
Yeah, and if he would have stayed, he probably could have won another one with LeBron or whatever. Right. But he wanted his own team and went to Boston and said, I'm staying here if you'll have me, and we'll win championships. And then 2 years later, he didn't want to be there anymore, so he went to Brooklyn. So my red flag as a basketball person, a basketball lifer, is if you're an excellent player, any excellent player, well, and there's, KD, Kyrie, Harden, and you end up bouncing around to 4 or 5 teams in 10 years, why is that? It's not your talent, right? So there has to be something there that you're not, I know the game is different and teams and players move a lot more. I mean, you couldn't imagine Larry Bird in a Lakers uniform or Magic in a Piston. That would never happen. Now it could happen. But,
right.
At the same time, there's a reason, and it's not basketball. It's something other than basketball. Either problems you're creating for the team, for management, or both. Off the court is usually what happens.
I have one more clip for you that I do want to play in regards to Kyrie Irving. It was interesting because Junkyard Dog talked about leadership, and he made the case that Kyrie's a good leader, which I disagree with. He brought up Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant, and then he sort of backtracked a little bit. But anyway, have a listen to this.
Cloth in terms of his work ethic, how he kind of goes about things, leadership wise. All those 3 guys were different. You see what I'm saying? So like,
no question. I hear what you're saying.
So it's just sort of like, so to answer your question, I kind of look at it like, hey, it'll all sort of come out in the wash sort of towards the end of his career and after, then we can more dissect, oh, this was what was happening. Oh, because he said this, or, whatever the case may be. But the other guys that I mentioned before had championships. Sure. And Kyrie has 1. So he's not done, but we'll see if he can get some more. But those guys got 5 and 6.
You're right. But he started off that conversation bringing up Kyrie's leadership qualities. I don't think he has any. I think they're very faulty leadership qualities. He's a great basketball player, but he's a cancer in the locker room, and that's part of having a leadership quality.
Well, I think that's part of it. And, in my opinion, because I've seen him, he used to run the pro games at Impact for NBA players before the season. They come to Vegas, they train, and they play pickup games against NBA guys. So you have good games. And he's the one that put those together. And when I sat on silent watch, he felt and looked like a leader to me. However, what he does when he's with a team, leadership is not learned. You know, you could go to a kindergarten and you can find out who the leader is. You know why? Because all the other kids follow them. That's why. So Kyrie has the capability of people kind of want to follow him, but then he doesn't have the follow through like a Kobe or a Michael Jordan or a Magic or a Bird to follow that up with great examples and to keep everybody on the right path and accountable. So does he have leadership qualities? Sure. Are they in that level? Hell no.
Yeah, no question. I agree with you 100%. Kobe Bryant made his teammates better. Players didn't like playing with him because he was so demanding. But Kobe made everybody better.
Same with MJ.
Same with MJ.
Yep.
I agree. You cannot convince me that Kyrie Irving makes his teammates better. I'm sorry. I just don't agree with that. And in fact, you could go the contrary. He makes organizations worse. That was a disaster in Boston. A disaster.
What
in
about
Boston.
Dallas?
Dallas, I don't think this is going to work. No. I mean, you're the former assistant coach.
He and Luke are the same. He and Luke are the same player.
Yeah, I don't.
With the same egos.
They do have egos. I don't think it's going to go very well. I don't know what Mark Cuban was thinking.
Oof.
What was he thinking hiring you as an assistant coach? I don't know.
What is he thinking letting me go?
That's
There
true.
you go.
I don't disagree.
Boom.
I don't disagree. Well, Mo, always good to see you. What do you got going on this weekend? Anything fun? You partying it up?
Yeah, I'm partying.
You partying with Hunter Biden? What are you doing?
Yeah, they got to give me a call, and then I'm going to Sapphire and party up there. Happy hour everywhere. Probably watching the TBT basketball tournament. That's the $1 Million Take-All tournament.
Is that in Vegas?
No. It's in Wichita. It's out there.
Oh, Wichita. Okay.
Yeah. So I'm watching that and the British Open.
The British Open. That's right. It's already started. I was watching a little bit of it in the middle of the night. Always fun to watch the British Open, a different type of golf.
Yeah.
Sad to see Tiger not out there, but it's good to see everybody else out there. And I got to watch a little bit of the British Open. It's like, what, midnight, 1 o'clock is when they tee off? I don't know. The time change sucks. But
yeah, it's called tape it.
Yeah, I need to learn how to do that. I need to learn how to do that.
And then let me know if you want to adjust the clock on your video machine.
All right, I'll let you know. We'll see if I get an invite to the Mokeski Beach Club. But anyway, good seeing
Play
Paul
your cards,
Mokeski.
right?
Yes, good to see Paul Mokeski in studio as always. The new political consultant for Pushing the Limits.
That's right.
That's a wrap, folks. We'll see you tomorrow at Sapphire Gentlemen's Club, the topless pool. It's a tough job, but somebody has to do it. We'll be broadcasting live from there. Come out and say hello, and we'll see you tomorrow, folks. Have a great one.
World-famous radio shopping show weekday on 1400 KSHP North Las Vegas and KSHP.com.
Hey everybody, are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pie? Well, worry no more. Stallone's Italian Eatery Pizza is a knockout. We're located at 467 East Silverado Ranch Boulevard, just off of Premier Road, half a mile east of South Point Casino, just minutes from the Las Vegas Strip. Come by and grab a slice of pie. Plus, check out our Brooklyn-inspired Italian cuisine. Our sandwiches are super. Hero, that is. Because why be a sub when you can be a hero? Stallone's Italian Eatery is here to serve you phenomenal food, Vegas. Forget about it.
Look, it's impossible